Every American president collects a nickname or two once the cameras start rolling on their family life, and for Donald Trump, one of the most enduring is simply Grandpa. Behind the political headlines and the West Wing schedule sits a sprawling blended extended family that now includes 11 grandchildren spanning nearly 2 decades in age, from a college freshman with an LPGA debut under her belt to a baby boy who was born the same spring his grandfather returned to office for a second term. 4 of Donald Trump's 5 children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, Eric, and Tiffany, have started families of their own, while the youngest, Barron, is still a student at NYU's Stern School of Business and has no children yet. What follows is an in-depth, up-to-date look at who these 10, soon-to-be 11 young people are, who their parents are, and what actually makes each of them tick beyond the family surname. Presidential grandchildren are nothing new in American history. The Obama, Bush, and Biden families all raised their own broods largely out of the public eye, with occasional appearances at Christmas card photos, Easter egg rolls, or a rare convention speech. What makes the Trump grandchildren somewhat unusual is their scale and visibility. 11 kids spread across 4 different households, several of whom have chosen to build personal brands and step onto convention stages themselves, rather than staying entirely behind the scenes the way earlier generations often did. Like the extended families of any sitting president, they also receive a level of security not typically afforded to other public figures' relatives, a fact that quietly shapes their day-to-day lives even when they're simply headed to school or a weekend soccer match. Donald Trump Jr. and his ex-wife, former model Vanessa Hayden, were married from 2005 to 2018 and share 5 children together. Even after their divorce, both parents have continued to co-parent closely, and Vanessa remains a regular presence at major family functions, including the president's second inauguration in January 2025. Vanessa has also made headlines of her own recently. In March 2025, golf legend Tiger Woods publicly confirmed he was dating her, a relationship that has kept the family in the golf world spotlight ever since, given that Woods' own children attend the same Palm Beach area school as several of the younger Trump grandkids. Born May 12, 2007, is the eldest of the 11 and the family's most publicly visible grandchild. Named after her Danish maternal great-grandfather, jazz musician Kai Ewens, she stepped into the national conversation in the summer of 2024 when she took the stage at the Republican National Convention to describe her grandfather as a normal, candy-sneaking presence in her life rather than the polarizing figure most Americans see on the news. She later sat near her grandfather on the inaugural platform in January 2025. Golf, though, is where Kai has built her own identity independent of politics. A sponsored junior athlete with a low handicap, she committed to play collegiate golf at the University of Miami, made appearances in LPGA-adjacent events, and has built a large personal following documenting her training, tournaments, and behind-the-scenes family moments. She attends the Benjamin School in Palm Beach, Florida, the same school as her mother's boyfriend Tiger Woods' 2 children, and has faced off against his son Charlie in junior golf competitions. Now 19, she's balancing her freshman year of college with a growing athletic career that many close to the family believe could eventually turn fully professional. Born February 18, 2009, is Kai's younger brother and, at 17, one of the more private members of the 5 siblings. Unlike his sister, Donnie has largely avoided the spotlight, skipping the convention speeches and the influencer-style social presence that defines much of his generation's public image. What little the public does know suggests a homebody with a taste for the outdoors, fishing trips, boating, and family vacations rather than red carpets. He did make a brief, unbilled appearance as an audience member on an episode of The Apprentice as a small child, but that's largely where his on-camera history ends. He has, on occasion, shown up to support family members at public events, including a 2025 trip to Washington, D.C., to back his father's fiancée, Kimberly Guilfoyle. Those who follow the family closely describe him as steady and low-key, content to let his older sister occupy the spotlight while he focuses on school and typical teenage life away from cameras. Born October 2, 2011, is the third of Don Jr. and Vanessa's children and is now a young teenager. Family social media posts have painted him as an avid team sports fan, particularly football, and Don Jr. has described him as competitive and affectionate in equal measure, calling him the best little man in one birthday tribute. Family members have also noted a physical resemblance between Tristan and photos of his grandfather at a similar age, something that comes up often at family gatherings. Like his older siblings, he's often photographed on family fishing trips, at bull riding events, and cheering from the stands at his cousins' games, and he brings a notably competitive streak to backyard games and casual family sports days. Born in October 2012, is the fourth child in this branch of the family and carries a name with real weight in Trump family history. His middle name honors Frederick Trump, the family patriarch who built the foundations of the family's New York real estate business generations ago. His cousin Joseph Kushner shares the same middle name in tribute to a different side of the family tree. Spencer has developed a reputation as the outdoorsiest of the bunch, frequently pictured on ATVs and dirt bikes and reportedly interested in target archery. Family and fans have also noted that Spencer bears a strong resemblance to his uncle Barron Trump at a similar age. He tends to appear at major family political moments, including convention and inauguration events, standing quietly alongside his siblings, and generally keeps a lower public profile than his older sister despite being seen regularly at family functions. Born June 16, 2014, is the youngest of Don Jr. and Vanessa's 5 children. Her parents kept her gender a surprise until birth, and she arrived as what family members have jokingly called the tiebreaker, rounding the sibling group out to 3 boys and 2 girls. Like her big sister Kai, Chloe has shown early promise on the golf course. Vanessa has referred to both daughters as her golf superstars, and her grandfather has spoken about her natural swing, and she's also known within the family as an enthusiastic boater and deep-sea fishing companion to her father. She drew brief national attention in the summer of 2025 when cameras caught her animated, unfiltered personality during a flight alongside her grandfather returning from a trip to Scotland, charming the traveling press pool in the process. Family members describe her as the most outwardly bold of the 5 siblings, rarely shy about speaking her mind even in front of adults. Ivanka Trump, who served as a senior White House advisor during her father's first term, and her husband, real estate executive Jared Kushner, are parents to 3 children. The family relocated to the Miami area after leaving Washington in 2021 and has generally kept a lower public profile than some of their cousins, though all 3 kids have appeared at major family milestones over the years. Ivanka converted to Orthodox Judaism before marrying Jared, and the family maintains an observant Jewish household, which has shaped several of the children's milestones, from their bar and bat mitzvahs to their schooling. Born July 17, 2011, is Ivanka and Jared's eldest and, at 14, has spent more of her childhood in the public eye than almost any of her cousins. As a young girl, she became something of an international curiosity after a viral 2017 video showed her singing in Mandarin and reciting classical Chinese poetry for visiting Chinese President Xi Jinping, a moment that circulated widely across Chinese media at the time and earned her a reputation as an unlikely cultural ambassador. Beyond languages, Arabella has trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, rides horses regularly with her mother, and celebrated her bat mitzvah in 2023 by dedicating time to volunteer work, including packing meals at a kosher food bank and supporting therapeutic riding programs that serve children with disabilities. She has increasingly stepped out at major family and cultural events over the past year, appearing in more polished, fashion-forward looks that echo her mother's longtime interest in design, including a memorable custom gown at her own bat mitzvah celebration. Born October 14, 2013, is Ivanka and Jared's older son and their second child. Named in part after his great-grandfather Joseph Kushner, a Holocaust survivor who later built a successful real estate career in New Jersey, Joseph has been described by his mother as curious and mechanically minded, the kind of kid who takes small motorized toys apart just to see how they work. He's also an avid dirt biker, skateboarder, and basketball fan who frequently attends NBA games with his mother in Miami, and he shares his family's love of the water, often fishing with the family's dog in tow. As a toddler, he briefly became an internet fixture after flatly declining to react with excitement when his mother announced she was pregnant with his younger brother, a deadpan moment fans of the family still reference years later. Born on Easter Sunday, March 27, 2016, is the youngest of Ivanka and Jared's 3 kids. He drew national attention in February 2025 when, at age 9, he accompanied his grandfather onto the field at Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans and sat with him in a suite, a rare moment that made him one of the more recognizable of the younger grandchildren almost overnight, with cameras repeatedly cutting to his serious, composed demeanor throughout the broadcast. Away from the cameras, Family accounts describe him as musically inclined, taking piano lessons and building elaborate Lego structures, along with a fondness for outdoor activities like hiking and camping with his father along the Florida coast, where he's reportedly picked up a range of basic wilderness and tracking skills. Eric Trump, who runs day-to-day operations at the Trump Organization, and his wife Lara Trump, a former co-chair of the Republican National Committee, are raising 2 children in Jupiter, Florida. Of the 4 households, theirs is arguably the most consistently visible on social media, with both parents frequently sharing glimpses of their kids' everyday lives alongside the family's business and political commitments. Born September 12, 2017, goes almost exclusively by his middle name, which his parents chose to honor Lara's grandfather. Eric has spoken publicly about the challenge of keeping his children grounded despite regular exposure to extraordinary events. The family was recently photographed ringside at a UFC card held on the White House South Lawn, for instance, with Eric noting that moments like that simply aren't the norm for most kids and that instilling humility remains a top priority. Cameras have also caught more relatable kid-like moments, including Luke visibly restless during the formality of the annual White House Easter egg roll as a military band played nearby, a clip that resonated with parents well outside the family's usual political circles. Athletically, Luke is said to be drawn to martial arts and soccer, along with fishing and dirt biking trips with his father, and he's often described as the more energetic and outgoing of Eric and Lara's 2 children. Born August 19, 2019, is Eric and Lara's youngest and, for now, the family's most photogenic scene stealer. She was technically an international traveler before she was even born. Her mother was pregnant with her during an official 2019 state visit to London that included a meeting with Queen Elizabeth II, a trip Lara has joked she'll one day tell her daughter she attended while still in the womb. Carolina became an unexpected viral figure in the summer of 2024 when a wide-eyed expression captured while sitting on her grandfather's lap during a primetime Republican National Convention speech was widely shared online, with commentators joking she looked overwhelmed by the bright lights of the arena. Weeks later, at a campaign rally in North Carolina, her grandfather brought her up to the microphone, where she delighted the crowd by repeating one of the campaign's rally lines, prompting him to jokingly suggest she might run for the Senate herself one day. Family friends note she is already shooting up in height, following the family's characteristically tall build, and appears to be following her older brother's lead when it comes to comfort in front of a crowd. While countdown lists like this one traditionally stop at 10, the family tree has technically grown by one more branch, and no up-to-date account of the family would be complete without him. In October 2024, Donald Trump announced from a Detroit Economic Club appearance that his daughter Tiffany was expecting her first child with husband Michael Boulos, telling the crowd simply that his daughter was going to have a baby, and that it was nice news. Alexander Trump Boulos was born on May 15, 2025, making him the president's 11th grandchild and, for now, the youngest member of the group. Tiffany, who has generally kept a lower public profile than her older siblings since her father's return to office, shared the news of Alexander's birth on Instagram, and the announcement drew a warm response from across the extended family, including from Tiffany's mother, Marla Maples. The family made a public appearance together at the 2026 White House Easter egg roll, where Alexander joined several of his older cousins on the South Lawn, giving the public its first real look at how the newest Trump grandchild fits into the wider, boisterous family unit. Rounding out the picture, Barron Trump, Donald and Melania Trump's only child together and, at 20, the youngest of the president's 5 children, remains without children of his own for now, focused on his studies at NYU's Stern School of Business. That leaves him as something of an outlier among his siblings, an uncle to 11 nieces and nephews despite being closer in age to several of them than to his own brothers and sister. Barron occasionally appears alongside his nieces and nephews at family gatherings, and given the age gap, he's often described by relatives as more of an older brother figure to the oldest grandchildren, like Kai and Donald III, than a traditional uncle. Taken together, these 11 kids offer a fuller, more human picture of a family that's usually discussed only in terms of politics and business. There are competitive junior golfers following in a grandfather's footsteps on the course rather than the campaign trail, a linguistically gifted teenager who charmed a foreign head of state before she'd even started middle school, dirt bike enthusiasts and martial artists, a future engineer who takes toys apart just to see how they work, a budding pianist who's already sat courtside at a Super Bowl, and a toddler who's already logged more international travel than most adults manage in a lifetime. Some have leaned into the public platform their surname affords them, building golf careers or large social media followings of their own. Others have deliberately built quiet, ordinary childhoods largely out of view, preferring fishing trips and family dinners to red carpets and convention stages. What unites nearly all 11, regardless of how public or private they choose to be, is a shared upbringing defined by an unusual mix of privilege and scrutiny. Private schools alongside Secret Service details, family vacations that double as international news events, and birthdays that sometimes get announced by a sitting or former president from a podium. As the four eldest branches of the family continue to grow and mature, and as Barron potentially starts a family of his own in the years ahead, the size, visibility, and public role of Donald Trump's grandchildren seem certain to keep